Hi there, Runway Girl readers. It's Mary Kirby coming at you from Flight Global's chalet at the Paris Air Show. Doing just a real quick rough cut today, just because there's so much going on. But I had a wonderful opportunity, and my colleague Max Kingsley Jones also joined me in an interview with Alan Pellegrini of Thales. He gave us a tremendous update about what they're doing in the in-flight entertainment and connectivity sector, and I want you to check it out. And for those of you who know, I was in Vancouver last week. Believe me, I've got a video coming. It's just taken a little bit more time than I expected. So look for that next week and enjoy the interview. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, Qatar is a premium airline, and again, they have significant vision for what they want to do in the cabin in its entirety, and the IFE is very integral to that. So it's a very important part of helping them kind of secure their brand on the cabin. So it's a very important customer for us in that region of the world.
So how's the growth in your drive into the single-aisle market going? Is Qatar one of your first?
No, well, Saudi Arabian Airlines actually was our first customer for our new digital single-aisle product. That will be delivered within the next couple of months, our first aircraft. They will have audio and video on demand in the premium class, and in tourist class they will have interactive audio, but not video.
And drop-down screens?
And drop-down screens in the back.
Okay.
So it's an interesting configuration that mixes, or kind of a hybrid configuration of drop-down screens in the back coupled with in-seat in the front. So we're going through the final acceptance testing with Saudi right now.
Whereas Qatar is in-seat in the back,
throughout, yeah. Okay. Just a little bit different marketing strategy.
And what's the system called? Does it have a name?
Well, our entire IFE product line is called Top Series. Right. For the single aisle, we've labeled it Top Series Digital Single Aisle. What we're trying to differentiate, there's a couple things. One is, even for the drop-down screens, we're going to all digital, whereas traditionally it's been analog. So it's a step function improvement in just the more traditional types of single-aisle solutions. But secondly, we're going to interactive in that type of a configuration, which is also new. So those are the two technologies that I think differentiate what we're doing in the single-aisle market from what maybe our competition's doing right now.
And Thales, Qatar's a new customer for you, is it?
They are.
Because they're Panasonic on their wide-bodies.
Wide-bodies,
yeah.
They do, yeah.
So it's quite a good win for you as well.
Yeah. Is that integrated IFE though? Because you have on air in the statement yesterday. So I mean, is that
their
connectivity is standalone in that it's not today targeted to integrate with the IFE, but that's not to say we won't exploit that going forward.
I guess with an A350 order coming down the road, you're in discussions about how the cabin's going to work for them, because they're launch customer 350, so it makes sense for you to work with them on how these, because that's still being finalised, the 350.
Yeah, Qatar still has some decisions to make, not just for 350, but I believe they have some 787 aircraft that they haven't made an IFE selection on. So, as one of the fastest, growing airlines with very large ambitions, we're obviously going to do everything we can to try to demonstrate to Qatar through our single-aisle program that we complement, support their vision. So that's our approach.
You mentioned that there might be actually a third IFE supplier picked by Airbus for the A350. Do you know who that might be?
No, really have no ideas. I think Airbus continues to look for innovative ideas. I think from a Thales perspective, we've brought a range of solutions to Airbus for the A350 for consideration, and I think Airbus is just being a prudent OEM and looking at other options. So it's unclear exactly what they're going to do. We do have a high degree of confidence that we're going to have a substantial position on the A350.
Okay. And lastly, I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned earlier that you feel like some of the competition gets a bit more press because of their connectivity decisions, and why do you think that is? Do you think that Thales maybe needs to up its public relations effort, or do you think that reporters need to get a little bit more informed as to what you guys are doing?
Well, perhaps both. I think that when you talk about KU band technology, I think some in the media perhaps see that as kind of a sexier technology because it offers more bandwidth. But Swift broadband technology is here today. It's global in nature. which makes it very, very compelling for airlines that are flying routes that are not just regionally oriented, but span multiple regions. And having that kind of coverage all the way up to the poles on both sides and down is extremely important. And so I think when you actually dissect the solutions, if you were an airline looking at what type of technology would you deploy today for connectivity, Swift Broadband is going to weigh very heavily into that. And that's why you can see that there's about 17 customers that are doing that today. And I think if you added up the number of KU-band customers today, it's a far smaller list. So that we're not trying to suggest that technology isn't something that might be important for the future or may not have a particular niche, but we do think it perhaps gets a little more of the limelight than Swift Broadband, even though to us it's a very feasible, here today, practical, global technology that we're now deploying.
But of those 17 customers, are they all what would be considered Thales customers or on-air customers? I mean, how does that work?
Well, we consider them both.
Right.
You know, to deliver connectivity requires multiple elements. You need a system on board the aircraft. That's where Thales is focused as an electronic systems provider. You also need a service provider, and that's where On-Air focuses. They are the service, they are the internet service provider, if you will. So it takes both elements in order to provide a successful connectivity solution, and Thales has been quite clear. Our strategy is to focus on the system side and the integration side, and to leave the service to service providers like On-Air. Now that may be a bit different model than perhaps some of the competition is doing, but we think that's the most prudent plan for Thales, and that allows us to work hand in hand with an On-Air, potentially someday with other service providers if that makes sense, and to focus on the systems and then ultimately the integration with the IFE.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Okay.
For all the latest Paris Air Show news, go to flightglobal.com/Paris.